All right, Tella Masakale, a national spokesperson for the E-Hailing Federation of South Africa, and he joins us now for a reaction on this. Tella, very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time. So the family of Isaac Satlat has, commended the police for the swift arrest following his killing in Pretoria West last week. I mean, let's get your reaction firstly as a federation to this heinous crime and, of course, today's court proceedings and developments.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We welcome today's court proceedings. We, as a federation, are happy that the suspects have been remanded in custody. We will be there on the 23rd of February to stand in solidarity with the family of Isaac David, and we will be continuing to demand incarceration and continue to demand more stricter safety measures, such as SAPS task team dedicated to e-hailing concerns, as well as a rapid response unit from SAPS dedicated for e-hailing.
Yeah, I want to just talk about, of course, some of the things that, many have been hailing as a result of the swift arrest. And that, of course, is the use of dash cams in some of the vehicles. We saw, of course, when our journalists were asking, various e-hailing drivers in terms of if they have dash cams too, and some have said up to 3, in fact. Are e-hailing platforms doing enough, firstly, to verify passengers, or are drivers still the only ones truly being vetted here? And also speak to us about the importance then of dash cams.
Unfortunately, the responsibility is borne by the driver operator in this case. The law does provide for us to have a mandatory panic button in the vehicle. However, that comes at a cost to the driver or operator. We are currently in discussions with private security companies such as Tiba and Gozi, which are offering a very minimalistic subscription fee of 10 Rand for the rider and 20 Rand per month for the driver. However, that is still not enough. You are correct. Dash cams is the best solution at this point in time. As you've seen with the current situation, if it wasn't for dash cams, we wouldn't have been able to identify the suspects, as well as also in the Van der Bijl Park accident. If it wasn't for the dash cams, we wouldn't have been able to have a swift investigation. So we encourage all our members to have a dash camera that has facial recognition, AI technology, so that in the future, they're able to identify their riders prior to them getting into the vehicle. We also encourage that SAPS has a rapid response unit linked to these panic buttons so that they can be located at certain hotspots so that they can attend to these incidences in a swift manner.
Yeah, I mean, while police are searching for the fourth suspect in this particular incident, I would imagine many drivers are feeling, quite scared and not certain about their safety at this point in time. As a federation, what immediate safety interventions are you demanding, from companies like Uber, like Bolt and InDrive, just beyond in-app panic buttons, as we've been hearing about, or even dash cams, as we've been discussing?
Yes. Of course, our members are frightened. They're very scared, especially the females. You can just imagine the female drivers. So what we have done as a federation, part of as one of our affiliates in the Western Cape has engaged on a safety workshop, as well as Eastern Cape has engaged in a safety workshop with one of the app providers only being Bolt. Uber hasn't come to the party yet, neither has InDrive. Uber has at least came to a party whereby we had conducted a safety workshop. They then introduced to us a rider verification feature, of which we've been demanding for the longest of times right now, because you've noticed only the driver has a verification feature. However, the rider doesn't. The driver doesn't know who they are picking up, but the rider knows who's picking them up. So we've then realized that that is the best feature to have at the point in time in terms of safety. So Bolt has come to the party in regards to that. We are then trying to roll that out with all the other app providers, amongst many other features such as ring fencing of hotspot zones. We've also went on a roadshow to hotspot zones with SAPS station commanders to identify specific hotspot zones that are related to e-hailing criminalities, so we can find a better solution as to how to mitigate those incidences from occurring in the future. And we've also established a communication line for incident reporting.
Yeah, and very quickly as we wrap up our conversation, I mean, to what extent does this latest tragedy just strengthen the argument for formal regulation around e-hailing, the e-hailing industry in the country? I mean, we're also seeing reports flying around about the threat to the service continuing in the country.
I'm glad you raised that point. It actually strengthens our argument. We've been advocating for dash cams to be included in the regulations for the longest time. We find the panic buttons to only be, the panic buttons alone to not literally mitigate the issue at hand. As you've noticed, the dash cams are the ones that get to pick up the faces of these suspects, and the social media is able to circulate these images, and we're able to detain these suspects in a swift manner. Now, moving forward, we would like these apps to consider having a mandatory policy where they encourage drivers to have dash cams in their vehicles prior to onboarding them onto their platforms.
All right, Tella, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. And of course, you know, an unfortunate incident here that we are discussing, the heinous murder, of course, of one of the drivers. Tella Masakale is the national spokesperson for the E-Hailing Federation of South Africa.